A handful of people had to be evacuated because of how quickly the waters rushed through here.
We have seen an officer stop by this location to check out the structure behind us, and there's a good reason for that. You can actually see the fire that was part of this building start back up.
I'm going to kick it across the surface here, and you get an idea of how warped this pavement is. A crook or crooks busting into a car. At this point, an expert tells us all they need to do is concentrate on the ignition area here. The fire scene is right over my shoulder there, but to give you some perspective, we walk over this way to show you the fire department is right over there. Do not leave your children inside cars. Do not leave your pets there as well. Fans flew in all the way from Los Angeles to get to tonight's game. The original start time, there's one right there, 7:05. But of course, Mother Nature had a different start time in mind. On Wednesday, Calhoun and 103rd was moving, with the exception Pamela Watkins.
He stopped me for speeding.
She had to pull over.
It's like, oh man, coming down 103rd.
The Chicago firefighter was in uniform, on her way to work, and felt something wasn't right. Separate officer may have felt it too, stopping his squad to talk to her.
I didn't get out until the other officer who pulled up alongside of me gave me permission. That's when the officer behind me got out, his hand on his gun. Get in the car, get in the car.
You feared for your life?
I did.
Watkins says the verbal abuse,
Get in the car, get back in the car,
turned physical.
He's like, this is where the door slammed.
He didn't care that your foot was in the way.
No, and then he did it a second time.
She's wearing bandages rather than a cast. Her heavy work boots lessened the impact.
This is what saved.
Should this cop be on the streets?
No.
She would know. For more than 16 years, Watkins was a Chicago police officer who also pulled over cars.
I work with some really great police officers.
According to the Citizens Police Data Project, the veteran officer in question received at least 17 complaints and was disciplined at least once since 2011.
We all are not bad. We all do not condone this behavior.
This week, Watkins received a ticket, an injured foot, and word her case is under investigation.
IPRA has contacted me.
And a spokeswoman for IPRA confirming tonight there is an independent investigation. That includes a review of video from the stop.
The view is fantastic. The view is of downtown Chicago.
After the rush, a rush hour.
Yeah, always running around, always working through traffic.
Daisy Arashiba settles into his two-bedroom, 1.5-bath apartment. The comic actor and musician calls this home and home office for,
What, 7 years?
but this year he discovered his nest
Was that a falcon?
expanded unexpectedly.
Well, I'm sure you know the Chicago Housing Authority's like, that's not a legal bedroom out there in the balcony.
Part of his 28th floor Lakeview apartment was taken over by a pair of squawky squatters.
When they get together, they become kind of the Bickersons. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I've been flying around hunting things. What do you got? I got something. I just killed it. You want to eat some? Sure. You know.
Peregrine falcons are a bird of prey traditionally nesting in places like barren cliff faces.
And I happen to have empty window boxes because I'm a terrible gardener.
He branded the birds after famous musicians.
Steve and Linda, because Perry, Steve Perry and Linda Perry.
Eventually discovering his new neighbors made more than music.
And there are 4 chicks. There's Luke Perry, Katy Perry, Joe Perry, and because it's Chicago, Refrigerator Perry.
The birds are federally protected, so it is against the law to move the nest. Arashiba has limited access to his balcony for about another month. That's when this feathered family could say farewell.
Chicks that have been born here have ended up as far away as Ecuador.
For now, the hum of traffic is part of the lullaby for 4 newborns. The Windy City providing a perch and one man providing the rent for some temporary tenants.
So there they are. Unfortunately, I'm okay with it.
Jeremy Ross, CBS 2 News. This story doesn't start with a gush of news. It begins with a drip.
It's because you see it's still running.
It continues with concerns about a fall or a slip.
Sliding on the ice.
Duct tape.
They wrapped the raincoat around, then they got the duct tape and wrapped the duct tape around trying to stop it from leaking.
Not sure what that is.
And it's still leaking.
Broken for months and months.
Somewhere underneath the makeshift Band-Aid for a leak, you'll see the fire hydrant in 43rd and Champlain. This tale of the tape extends to downtown as well. Pictures show now fixed hydrants in Wabash and another bagged and taped on State.
You don't take nothing like that up. You fix that.
If your house is on fire, do you depend on that hydrant?
Oh, no, man.
Well, if they had seen the tape and plastic on it, they would have immediately gone to the next hydrant.
Gary Litherland of the Department of Water says firefighters would instead go to a hydrant less than 300 feet away. He calls the tape jobs, something neighbors did. Our call to his office fixed the problem, and he's calling on neighbors to alert the city so future leaks don't linger.
We try to get to them all within 24 hours.
If you see a fire hydrant in the city of Chicago that needs service, the city is reminding you this evening to call 311 or visit their website and fill out a report. Very little stops the wind's icy advance outside this Bronzeville building.
You can feel the air blowing in on you.
Geneva Taylor says that's also the case inside her basement apartment.
And all these clothes I got on and I'm still not warm.
She adds there's been no heat or gas here for about 2 months, conditions causing concern and prayer.
God, please don't let nothing happen to me and my daughter.
Taylor's daughter Maddie and her brother, who asked not to be on camera, rely in part on a hot plate for both their meals and warmth.
I feel like don't nobody care.
The temperature inside was only 46 degrees.
Pastor Gregory Daggett of Joy of Fellowship Church says 2 of his parishioners called him about the family's crisis. He called on the city.
You called him and you told him he is not.
A building inspector listened as Taylor described her failed efforts to tell her landlord.
He knows you have no heat.
Sure he
Do you have hot water?
None.
Firefighters took her and her family out of the cold conditions. There's no going back to this house, is there?
There is none. In fact, as we speak, it should have already been boarded up.
They were taken to Mercy Hospital as officials worked to find them safe housing. As for what would have happened if others didn't intervene.
You'd have a different story, maybe one with tragedy where people were found frozen to death, and we've seen that before.
We were also unsuccessful in reaching out to the landlord. As for where the family will be living longer term, that's unclear at this time. The pastor says that he will be working with the city and affiliated groups to find them safe housing.
We had everything for the children.
In a place where kids play and shoot hoops, a different kind of shooting took place.
Heard what we thought at first were fireworks. Pop, 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 pop. We never heard fireworks like that.
I mean, rapid fire.
Of course, I was scared for myself.
They was standing toe to toe, shooting each other.
Marvin Edwards works with a gang prevention organization. He found himself at Seward Park and found himself calling 911.
There's one of more people wasn't shot out here today.
He and hundreds were here for an event. The purpose to prevent scenes just like this.
It was a peace cookout.
For nonviolence.
Is it insane that we're talking about a peace cookout and this happened?
Yes, sir.
We talk about the senseless violence, and he is being perpetuated.
Richard Raymond of Brothers Standing Together helped to organize the event. He says a group that was not part of his organization arrived. Some were drunk. Some got into an argument.
Young lady said some young man did something to her or stole something, and it kicked off from there.
It's like the Wild Wild West.
Definitely gunshots.
Clear pandemonium out here.
Children were still here on the premises.
You just filling yourself to make sure you wasn't shot.
Police say at least 3 were shot. Neighbors say the aftermath of the violence spilled into this store parking lot, with nearby businesses locking their doors for a short time. For the past 3 years, organizers say this event was free of police tape and investigators, and despite the appearance, these events are needed more now than ever.
It would never, nothing would stop the cookouts, nothing would stop us to continue to try to promote peace in these communities.
Police are telling us that 2 of the victims are ages 54 and 43. They are currently in stable condition. They add a 28-year-old man is currently in critical condition. 1 person is in custody in connection with this ongoing investigation. Chicago police gather again outside the South Chicago home.
Everything here is broke.
This time they're guarding the house and its door.
This is all broken up.
The time before, they were trying to break it open.
You can see the indentation here.
As a result, Shawnee Cross uses a screwdriver to open it now.
Kind of like pry. But there, I got it.
She says it happened early Friday morning without much warning.
My mom was sitting on that couch. I heard her scream first, like, ah! I'm like, what's going on? I'm in the bathroom, I'm like, what was that? And she's like, somebody breaking in. They coming in, they coming in.
How many cops are in the house?
From what I could see at that point, maybe 3. And they're coming with the guns like, don't move. Don't say nothing, you know, who's in here?
Was your adrenaline up? Was your heart pumping?
Yeah, all of that.
Police say during a drug investigation, they executed a search warrant and regretfully went into the wrong house. Chicago's top cop calling to personally apologize.
This is Superintendent Johnson calling about the unfortunate incident that occurred.
Apology accepted?
Absolutely not.
Cross says that won't happen until her door is replaced. She adds Friday she was supposed to honor the memory of her grandmother, but had to stay home because of her busted door.
Not all cops are bad. I have family members that are police officers. I didn't like the way they treated us and the way they handled us.
Cross is expecting that her door will be fully replaced sometime tomorrow. She tells us she is considering getting an attorney and also filing a lawsuit.